What is going on, YouTube? Joe here with Culination Media, bringing you a little update on what's going on in the competitive scene on Smogon, because there's been some changes, as I'm sure most of you know by now, because this is pretty much just old news. They announced these changes maybe like 3 days ago now, something like that. So I'm sure all of you have seen all the changes, but I would like to go over them just a little bit with you guys, just talk about it, see what you think about it, those kinds of things, just because I'm curious and trying to get other people's opinions, that kind of thing. So anyway, for those of you that are unaware of the changes, or you just don't know Smogon very well, because not everybody plays by Smogon, of course. I mean, there's VGC, there's people who just don't play by any set, you know, a particular set of rules. I can actually make sentences sometimes. But yeah, so let's go over it. First of all, Lucario, Volcarona, Goodra, Alakazam, Manaphy, Infernape, and Blissey have all moved from OU down to UU, so UU is going to be a little bit crazy. Vaporeon, Smeargle, Quagsire, Gardevoir, Scolipede, and Manectric have moved up to OU. All of them were in UU, I believe. Scolipede was BL. Pretty sure all of them were UU. Anyway, for Manectric, it is Manectric itself, including the Mega Evolution, so just Manectric in general is OU now. Same thing with Gardevoir. Jolteon has moved from UU down into RU, and Salamence has moved from UU into BL, or Borderline, and so that means that it is allowed in OU, but it doesn't have the usage to be OU, so that makes any sense. Like, it's actually UU as far as usage goes, but they banned it from UU because it's too good there. I mean, even the defensive sets for Salamence were doing well. I tried some kind of, like, it was a defensive set with Wish, and it was just like all kinds of shenanigans, and it actually did really, really well. It's because UU cannot handle Salamence. Hydreigon is actually down in UU. It's been there for a while. They haven't done anything with that yet. But I think that's a little strange, too. I mean, I know the whole fairy thing going on, you know, Hydreigon can't necessarily compete in OU like it did last generation, where it was pretty much unstoppable. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off track here, so let's discuss this just a little bit. We have Lucario, which in my opinion should have been UU last generation, and in fact, for a while I actually thought it was UU, just because that's where it belongs. Of course, Mega Lucario is banned from OU even. It's a Uber Pokemon now. So we're not going to talk about that, but the regular Lucario, it is frail, and it doesn't have the power that the Mega Lucario has. It doesn't get adaptability, and that is a big part of it. It can attack from both sides of the spectrum. You could do Nasty Plot, you can do Swords Dance, those kinds of things. It actually gets stab priority on both sides of the spectrum as well, with Vacuum Wave and Bullet Punch, so that works to its advantage, but it's lacking a little bit of oomph. It needs a little bit more for it to be effective in OU. It's not quite strong enough, and then on top of that, it's very frail, and it's even not quite fast enough too. That's a little bit of an issue. Its base speed isn't even 100, so that causes it some problems when there's all kinds of fast Pokemon like Greninja and Talonflame running around in OU that can just one-shot it basically, and you're pretty much forced to run a Focus Sash, and even then priority again in OU is all over the place. So Lucario struggles to really do much, because most of the time, even if you're running a Focus Sash, you can get a Swords Dance or a Nasty Plot off, and then you're forced to go for your own priority move, and you're not strong enough to be able to KO anything. So Lucario, I think, is old news. It should have been in UU a long time ago, but I'm happy that it's there now. That's really one of the only ones that I'm seeing that I really, really agree with. A lot of the other ones, it's just a little bit mind-boggling. Volcarona, Goodra, Alakazam, Manaphy, Infernape, and Blissey all dropping down to UU. That's just insane. Volcarona, I don't think is going to last too long in this tier, because it's incredibly powerful. The Quiver Dance set, the Resto Chesto, which can be combined with Quiver Dance, obviously, it's just so powerful. So powerful. The coverage is great. Fire and Bug is has a good offensive synergy. That's what I was trying to say. Excuse me. But yeah, I don't know. And Volcarona isn't frail enough. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I know that Aqua Jet is everywhere in OU. You've got the Crawdons and, you know, all that kind of stuff. but still, I don't see it lasting long in UU whatsoever. The only thing that helps it is the fact that Blissey has dropped down to UU to help wall sets, especially offensive sets like Volcarona. Goodra, again, that's another one. I don't know exactly why it dropped down. Its special defense is through the roof. You can run it on rain teams. I think actually that's the best use for Goodra that I've seen, is using the hydration ability with rain support. Obviously, you can use infestation, toxic, all kinds of shenanigans. And then rest, of course, to recover all of your HP, and then the hydration will take away the sleep clause for you, or not sleep clause, the sleep condition. So it's just, and it has such high natural bulk. I mean, what is its base special defense, like 150? Something ridiculous like that. And it gets a fantastic move pool as well. It has access to Thunderbolt, it has access to Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Focus Blast, Ice Beam, plus its Dragon Stab. So, I mean, I really don't see why it's UU. I mean, I know that UU, or tiers in general, it's just decided by usage, so it's not like somebody put it in UU. It's just the usage drops, so it goes down to UU. That's how it works. It's not a flawless system, but that's just how it goes. Anyway, I really don't see Goodra being UU, and it has uses outside of rain too. I mean, I've had some success in OU with a Choice Spec set, with an Assault Vest set. You can do a lot because it's so bulky, and it packs a punch too. So I don't know about that one. Alakazam, I mean, of course there's Blissey, but it gets access to Psyshock, so it can take care of Blissey. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one either. You've got Manaphy, which with Tail Glow is going to be doing all kinds of shenanigans. Infernape can attack from both sides of the spectrum, kind of like Lucario. It's very similar. It has access to Mach Punch and Vacuum Wave, so it's got the priority on both sides. It's got Nasty Plot, it's got Sword Stance, although Sword Stance is not really used a whole lot. It's got the Iron Fist to boost its some of its punching moves. It's quite a fast Pokemon. It can be an anti-lead. It's got a lot of things going for it. I'm not entirely sure why the usage has dropped down a lot. It's not even weak to Fairy, so you can't even use the excuse of, well, the Fairy type screwed it up, because it's neutral. It is neutral with the Fire typing. And, I mean, it doesn't typically run things to take care of Fairies, but it doesn't really run into a lot of problems with them either. And the premier Fairy type in UU has been Florges, and Infernape can destroy Florges with a Flare Blitz, or even a Life Orb Iron Fist boosted Fire Punch. So again, I'm having trouble seeing where a lot of these fit in. Blissey dropping down is going to help deal with the likes of Manaphy and Volcarona and Goodra and these offensive threats. But Alakazam can get around it with the Psyshock, like I said. So, I mean, I don't think we need to add more stallish things into the UU tier. It was pretty stally for a while to begin with Florges. The last thing we needed was Blissey being added. Now, moving on to what's going up to OU. I really am not sure why Vaporeon is going up to OU. It was definitely OU last generation because of rain and hydration. The Hydro Rest set was very popular. I guess you could still use that, and I've actually been trying to use it myself, not in OU though. But, I mean, it does have a lot of bulk. It can, Scald, Toxic, Wish, Protect, all that stuff. It has a lot of bulk. It has some power behind it, but I don't necessarily know if it fits in OU. I guess we'll see how this plays out. I mean, these aren't like, I'm not saying that my opinions are, this is how it is. That's just how I see it. And of course, I don't necessarily have the perfect knowledge of the metagame to know how these things are going to fit in. There's going to be more shuffling around, of course, so we'll see how things play out, but these are my first impressions, basically. We also have Smeargle going up to OU. I can see why it would go to OU based on usage. I don't know if it's going to get used a lot there, but I mean, I guess it works for the Hazard set, and it can do just a bunch of different things. Magic Code actually works very well on it, and I've seen that to counter Sticky Web leads and Stealth Rocking leads and stuff like that. So I can see how that works, but it just gets destroyed by everything in OU pretty much. And priority is everywhere, so its Focus Sash doesn't always do it a whole lot of good. We have the Quagsire as well moving up. Unaware is a big deal. I can agree with this going up to OU just because the OU metagame right now is filled with players and strategies that are all based around boosting. Sword Stance, Nasty Plot, Bulk Up, all kinds of things. Setup is everywhere. And having Unaware to ignore those stat boosts is priceless, honestly. Even Dragon Dance, too, that's another big one. They're just, it's all over the place. So having Quagsire to just be able to come in and just nerf that instantly is just fantastic. And on top of that, Quagsire has decent defensive stats. It has access to reliable recovery in the move recover. And it has a great typing too. And its only weakness is a 4x weakness to grass, which isn't overly common in OU. It has some prevalence with Venusaur running around, but you can play around that. It's not like grass types are everywhere. So we have Gardevoir going up to OU as well. I can definitely see that. It can do a lot of things. It can have an offensive presence. You can run it as a specially defensive set, which is what I like to do. It has access to Will-O-Wisp. I mean, I guess you could do dual screens, but I don't think that it is the best at doing that. I think Espeon does it a lot better. But that's just my thing. Can also be a Choice Scarf set too, which actually works really nicely. Gardevoir has a great move pool, so you don't always have to run Mega on it. You could even do like a Calm Mind set. I think maybe that the Mega runs that a little bit better, but there's options for it, and I can definitely see how it would be used a lot. Scolipede moving up to OU. Everyone's using it as a baton passing thing this generation. I completely disagree with that. I feel like Scolipede as a baton pass user is a waste of a perfectly good Pokemon with a lot of speed and a lot of attacking power and a decent move pool too. It has pretty good coverage. It has access to Mega Horn and Poison Jab. Poison Jab is a lot more useful with the fairies running around everywhere. Pretty much just lays waste to Sylveon. It also has Rock Slide, Earthquake, Sword Stance, and with a Life Orb, it's going to be doing so much damage. Offensive Scolipede is the way to go in my opinion, but everyone's using it for baton passing purposes because of the speed boost and all that jazz. So I can see why that would be moving up officially from BL into OU. Manectric, again, everybody's been using Manectric, so I can see why it's moving up. It works great, especially Mega Manectric. It has the Intimidate, it has access to Volt Switch. It has just incredible speed to the point where a lot of Scarfers are slower than it. When was it? Maybe yesterday? Yesterday or the day before, I was in with, what did I have? I was playing Battle Spot, and I was just warming up, and I had a Sock. It was Scarf. Did not outspeed Manectric. Kind of crazy. I know Sock is pretty slow, but still, just the fact that some common Scarf users, not that Sock is OU, I'm just using it as an example, you can outspeed Scarf Pokemon. That's pretty incredible. It also has access to Flamethrower. I actually like to use it with Snarl. It's kind of funny, but it actually has a little bit of a niche because it will help lower special attack. So if something is setting up on you, or if you're afraid that it's going to, Snarl kind of nerfs that. It also has access to Overheat, so it has a way to get around the grass types that could come in wallets. So it's just, and then you have HP Ice too. So it's a really good Pokemon. Definitely can see that. Jolteon dropping down to RU. I have no idea why no one's using it. I use it all the time. If you guys have been on my channel at all ever, you probably have seen me use Ohm the Jolteon in battle. He's all over the place. And mine doesn't even have HP Ice because I bred it in Kalos. And breeding for Hidden Power this generation is pretty freaking hard. And it was one of the first Pokemon that I bred competitively, so I was just like, whatever. So it doesn't have Signal Beam either because it's not a transferred Pokemon. So it literally just has Electric and Ghost type coverage. That's it. But it still works really well. You guys see how well it really does work. You just slap specs on there and it just does so much damage to everything. So, I don't know. The usage is just going down. I guess people are not as into Jolteon as they were before. People, I guess, like the Espeons and the Sylveons and the Vaporeons now, as opposed to the Jolteons. Now, Salamence, coming into the BL tier, which is not even a tier. I don't know why I said it like that. But it didn't belong in UU. Everybody knew that. Everybody was waiting. Everybody knew that it was just a matter of time before Salamence gets removed from UU because it was just too good. You could run any kind of set that you wanted, basically, and it would just destroy most of the tier. Because even fairy types like Florges, they don't really have the best physical defense. It just gets destroyed by a Dragon Dance set. You can slap Focus Sash on there and Dragon Dance, get 1 DD up, Earthquake, probably a dead Florges. And then you can start Dragon Clawing things, you can start outraging things. You could just run Scarf with Moxie. It's just, there's like endless possibilities. Like I said, I was even having success running a defensive Wish supporting Salamence. So if I can do that, and actually I've seen other people do that too. I by no means came up with that idea. If it's just having that much success, it is way too good for the tier. So having it go to BL and have it be used mostly in OU is probably a better idea. So that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if I missed anything. I didn't really talk about Manaphy too much, but it's pretty self-explanatory with the tail glows, and you know that's basically the reason why it was OU in the first place. But anyway, I don't really want to talk about Manaphy because I don't care. I don't care that much about Manaphy. Come on. So what I really wanted to do was not have me just talk about this the entire time. But what I really want, the point of this video was for your opinion. So I want you guys to write in the comment section below what your opinions are for the various Pokemon. If you just have one thing that you disagree with, or do you agree with most of the moves? Are there specific ones that you don't like? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty half and half here. I really don't agree with most of the Pokemon that are dropping down to UU. Most of the Pokemon that are moving up to OU, I do agree with. But that's just my thing, and it's not necessarily whether you agree with it or not, because it's just based on usage. It's not like somebody decided, oh, they're definitely OU, let's move them up there. No, it doesn't work like that. But I don't know. I guess it's more like I don't like them moving down to OU. I guess that's what it comes down to. It's a preference thing. I would like to know if you guys think that specific Pokemon are going to last, you know, for a good portion of time in a certain tier. Do you think Volcarona is going to go down to UU and just hang out there for like 5 months and not get put into BL? Do you think it's going to get put into BL next month? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? What are your opinions? Share with me. I want to discuss. I want to get things going, some healthy discussion, because this is mainly a battling channel, so I figured, why not? Anyway, I'm just going to stop babbling now, and I will see. Maybe we can do more videos like this. I don't know. We'll see how the turnout is. See if you guys enjoy it, and if you don't, I will never do anything like this again. If you do like it, I'll try to do it as much as possible. Anyway, that's it for this time, guys. Thank you very much for watching, as always, and I'll see you next time. But until then, game on.